Hi, Scott. ROCKFILE, back with another podcast review. Going to talk about the 2024 film, Slingshot. You find out in the credits it's actually a 2022 film. Finally got released in August of 2024. I wanted to see this because I'm a fan of science fiction and Lawrence Fishburne, and I've kind of tried to see almost all of his movies, especially when he does something strange. And I was pulling for this little movie. Finally picked it up from HamiltonBook.com. They're a source that sells books, movies, and other things. They had a whole bunch of movies all of a sudden from Bleecker Street. This was produced by Bleecker Street, that film company. And all the movies, it turns out, and I had no idea, I ordered several movies from Hamilton Book. They were all like $4.95 each, so I'm like, under $5 each, sure. And they were all movies I wanted to see, like Sasquatch Sunset, and this one, a couple others that reviews are coming. I don't want to spoil it. Anyway, this was in there. It's funny that they were all from the same movie company. It was a closeout or whatever. I saw it got a nice 4K for $4.95 that I'll be doing a review of soon. It's a Bruce Willis movie. I know, a 4K for $4.95. Who would have thought? Anyway, Casey Affleck, Lawrence Fishburne, Emily Beecham, Tomer Capone, David Morrissey. This is a really good cast. The movie was directed by Mikael Hafstrom. I honestly remembered his name, but didn't remember his name when I looked him up. He directed one of my favorite Stephen King adaptations, 1408. He's also known for a movie from about 20 years ago called Evil. Movie did not gross a whole lot of money, less than $1 million. It was supposed to do really well. When it came out in August of 2024, it was predicted to gross a few million that weekend, which would have been good for such a small film. It's kind of one of those, what do they call it, chamber pot movies, small location, few actors kind of thing, or at least that's what I thought I was getting. Movie opens great, and have you ever been pulling for a movie to just pull everything off that they're trying to do? I was. I mean, the trailers look pretty good. The movie opens really well. I was really pulling for this movie, and in the end, I think it's worth a watch. I just don't know if it all completely works, or maybe it just didn't hit me right by the end, and I'll stay away from spoilers till the very end of this review. The gist of it is a small crew is on a small ship going to Titan because, well, we need resources. They give you a little bit of background, and then we're on this mission, and they're approaching the hardest part of the mission before they actually make it to Titan. Once they make it to Titan, they find other people can follow, and will start refining methane and other things from Titan. It's very pretty heady, very exciting, very easy to understand, very well explained in the beginning. The crew made up of these three gentlemen. You think this is all you're going to get, but we start getting flashbacks early on. Pretty much the whole movie is through the eyes of Casey Affleck, and we go back to see what his character goes through before he gets on the ship. At first, they don't. And like he looks at his messages when he first wakes up from hibernation and there's not a message. You don't know why that upsets him a little bit, but then through flashbacks you kind of learn. It's that kind of thing. So we don't stay on the ship the entire movie. We go to a college. We go to training. We go to the public. We're outside. So the whole movie isn't on one little spaceship flying through space. It does go a lot of different places, and I was a little surprised with that and very pleased with that. I think this is a great performance from Casey Affleck. I think Lawrence Fishburne knocked it out of the park again, and I've only seen Tomer Capone in a few things, but he's fabulous in this, and Emily Beecham is great in this as well. It's one of those movies that's kind of slowly letting you in on what's going on and then slowly letting you into where it's going. And by the end of the movie, it's going to be choice A or choice B on how this thing is going to end. And the director makes a very interesting choice, or the writer, I guess. They made an interesting choice on how to end the film. All in all, if you like science fiction movies, I think it was about 1 hour and 47 minutes. It's not too long, but I did start checking my watch a little over halfway because we started getting a lot of flashbacks. And I don't have a problem with flashbacks, flash forwards, dream sequences, any of that stuff until you start relying on it, till there's more of that than the actual story, to which this movie almost gets to that point. We almost spend more time in his memories than we spend in what's currently going on. that may or may not make sense by the end. I'm going to leave that up to you. And like I said, I will leave a tiny little spoiler talk at the very end of this review. Again, I think everybody's good, and the special effects for what there are is great. The spaceship sets are practical, and it's there. It opens with some great space scenes and them flying through the heavens. I got to say, the machinery, the screens, the talking to Houston and that kind of stuff, all of that stuff is like the movie is better than the budget had to be for it, all in all. And like I say, it wants to be a little Pandorum. It wants to be a little Solaris. It wants to be a little Sunshine. It kind of blends a little of that all into its story. And it really is about these people, this crew trying to deal with the rigors of space. It's almost the antithesis of Ad Astra. I really like Ad Astra, the Brad Pitt science fiction movie. If you haven't seen it, it's about a dude whose blood pressure never rises. So they send him on what's probably the most terrifying mission you can possibly imagine. And he's cool through the whole thing, and it becomes a search for his dad kind of thing. Well, this is kind of the opposite of that. Nothing is smooth sailing, and these guys, maybe it's the hibernation drugs they're on. They have to go into hibernation for about 3 months at a time, and they come out and they eat and they check on things, and then they go back, and the computer tells them every time they come out how many times they've been in and how long the trip is, and they're like a year and a half into the thing, and it's starting to wear on them a little bit. All of that is supremely well done. Like I said, it gets in the middle to the final third of the movie where you start wondering what the reality of the situation really is, because things are starting to get a little bit out of hand. And if this were real, okay, and if it's not, okay, you start. Your brain starts diverging on these two paths of what the outcome of the movie can be. And like I said, it does wind up with it's going to end either this way or this way. There's really not two ways about it. And then it ends, like I said, some interesting creative decisions. I think the acting is good. It's well directed. Whether or not you like it is going to be up to you. Know that it's a psychological thriller. This isn't a science fiction thrill ride. It's very much what's going on in their heads, not fighting aliens or explosions or trying to patch up the ship. There is a little bit of that and a little bit of conversation of maybe they shouldn't have done this, or maybe the engineers didn't get it right and it turned out he dated one of the engineers. Anyway, it is very much a psychological thriller with science fiction trappings and all that. It's a worthy watch. I don't know that it all came together for me, and why I have only a halfway recommendation for it, and I'm going to get into minor spoiler territory to explain that. So the spoilers are coming up. Thank you for listening, and check out if you don't want to know. 3, a 2, and a 1. At the end of the movie, he's either crazy or he's not. The whole movie is going to, how you see. I love movies that have an ending that rewrite the entire movie, that you have to go back and watch the movie in a different light because the ending was so well done. I think that's what they were going for here. But he also does this rare thing of a double twist ending where it goes, this is the ending. Oh, wait, no, this is the ending. And I don't know if that completely works. It's a bit of a shock, and it's incredibly well done. But when I think about the rest of the movie, given the choice A or B that we're given, like it's choice B. Oh, wait, it's choice A. Well, then I have to think about the rest of the movie that way. And I kind of wish I didn't have to, because in rethinking, I'm not sure that everything works with the choices made and how the film ends. That's about as much dancing around the spoilers as I can. Again, I think the acting is good, and I think they were going for something here. I'm not sure it completely worked. And critically, on Rotten Tomatoes, it's about half and half. So it's up to you. If it sounds like something you want to watch, I think it's better than a lot of streaming things. When I review movies, most of the movies I review are 10 times better than anything on streaming. I'm sorry, I'm not to dish your favorite shows, but to me, streaming shows are a different kind of thing. It's a time investment, and I don't always have that. And I like short stories as much as I like novels. So I like movies as much better than I like streaming shows because, well, you get hour and a half to 2 hours to tell the story, maybe 2.5 to 3 if it's a Ridley Scott movie. And I sign on for the ride. I don't watch these as a movie critic. All of these movies I'm watching because I want to find the next great movie. The other day, a couple weeks ago, I watched When Evil Lurks. That movie blew me. That is why that I do these podcasts and I watch movies I've never seen before. Some movies that I would pass on if I had to spend big money on them or go a long distance to see them or something like that. When I finally get to see a movie that I want to give a chance to, well, I want it to win. So how I explain my rock radio stations. I'm like, I want every single that a band sends me to be great and make it onto my station in current rotation and eventually make it to recurrent and gold, that song stays in the format forever. But not all songs do, and not all movies stay in your head forever. This is a psychological thriller, and how much it stays in your head probably is how much experience or how much you like or dislike movies about what's going on in people's heads, and specifically what is going on in their heads. I thought it was worth a watch. I don't know that it's a keeper or you need to run right out and buy it, but if you get it on streaming or can see it cheaply or free, then give it a watch just for the acting. Casey Affleck is great in the film. All in all, I thought Slingshot was fine. It needed a little more to be a cult classic. Just didn't quite get it for me, but it might for you. But it's definitely better than reviews say it is. So I'm Scott. I'm ROCKFILE. More podcasts are on the way. More Bleecker Street movies are on the way, and I can't wait to tell you about them. Thanks for listening. Please like, share, and subscribe. Have a spectacular day.